All right, welcome back to my drawing journal for the month of April 2023. As always, my name is Freddie, and this journal will cover weeks 14 to 17. So, something came up that I feel is important to talk about. A friend came to me saying that she was going to go back to square one to relearn a lot of the basics because she's been too scared to pick up her pen and not be as good as she used to be. I think a lot of us as artists have at one point been in that very mindset, especially when we're wanting to be better at what we do. For example, sometimes not seeing the immediate results we'd want to see in our works and what we're visualizing in our minds doesn't translate well to paper are among many reasons we can become demotivated and be put back into that slump. If there's one thing that I've learned over the years, it's that the absurd amount of pressure that you can apply to yourself without knowing it can hinder you from making progress. The want to uphold yourself to a certain standard isn't necessarily an issue in itself. It might even start off well enough. However, the increased weight on your shoulders may lead to projects being left unfinished or untouched for a very long time. Think of when you're just doing things for you. You're doodling things that come to your mind, small sketches, drawings, whatever. You know, in the end, a lot of what you're doing will be private. No one's going to see it. It doesn't matter, and so there's less pressure. On the flip side, if you're drawing for someone else, whether you accepted a commission or let's say a friend asked you to draw something for them, it applies an added layer of pressure because you want to do well enough for them to like it and evokes a different feeling than you just doing something for yourself. Pressuring yourself is like you're not drawing for yourself. Having that applied pressure on yourself when you're by yourself can make it feel like you always have someone watching your every mistake. Eventually, you'll have frustration kicking in, burnout might happen faster, you might stop drawing, and you're back on hiatus. It's always good to push yourself, just don't pressure yourself. In my talk with her, I put it another way and I told her, you've got an audience in your head that you want to impress, and they're all just copies of you. Stop catering to them and just do it for yourself. If you always care about what other people are going to think, you're never doing it for you. You're doing it for them. You have to keep in mind that no matter how silly you think something you're doing is, no matter how dumb, the ones that will get it, and the ones that don't just won't. I have more to say, but we can go ahead and look at week 14, Magical Girl. Because this is such a new character, I don't have anything to say about her other than I went to art prompts for this idea. I thought it was appropriate considering I grew up watching Magical Girl animes, especially the butchered Deke version of Sailor Moon we got in the States. Aside from that, there's not much for me to say on this except I enjoyed coming up with an outfit and finding a way to fit it all together. I did want to continue touching on what I was talking about. This journal started off as a way for me to grow as an artist and push myself to continue doing what I have always known to love in both drawing and world building. As a byproduct, and as the months have gone by, those who know me and watch these journals have let me know they found new motivations for themselves. In hopes to do the same for others, I've come up with a small list of tips to help those struggling to get back into drawing. Tip number one, go easy on yourself. You've heard you are your own worst critic. It's true. Believe me, it's very true. Even if someone tells you something looks perfect, you're probably always going to be the first to see something you don't like with it. To a degree, it's fine to look at something you did open to criticism, even if that criticism is from yourself. But if you go into the extreme version of overly criticizing yourself, you're turning something that is supposed to be fun and enjoyable into something you'll eventually dread. You're adding extra pressure on yourself and robbing yourself of a type of fun you used to have for yourself. If you're hard on yourself because you're worried that other people won't like what you're making, start caring more about what you want for yourself instead. Ultimately, this is you developing your style your way. You don't play a single player game for someone else, you play it because you find it enjoyable. A professional with an audience all did what they liked, and that audience found them. There is no right process, there is no right style. You do you, and have fun with it. Tip number two, turn comparing into admiration. One of the talking points my friend and I got into was comparing yourself to other artists and how easy it can be to feel inadequate. I've had a lot of moments where I got frustrated at myself for not being able to make my pen do what I want it to do. It's easy to compare yourself to another artist and see how they're just able to just do it and make it look easy. You start to wonder why you aren't able to do the same as they are. You get into your own head about it. It builds up and turns into frustration. Especially now with the advent of AI generated art, it's becoming incredibly easy to find yourself not feeling good enough with how a machine can spit out drawings better and quicker. That's another can of worms that I won't get into today. When you're looking at someone else's work, try finding something that you do like that you might be able to incorporate into your own work. Maybe you like the line widths, the use of different colors in the shading, the way the hair is drawn, or maybe even their starting process. Anything that catches your eye and feel might make your art or as you as an artist better. It's not an easy thing to shake off comparing your works to others, but you're in a good spot if you can see someone else's work and admire it rather than compare yourself to it. Something to consider: every artist has gone through what you have. They too have sheets upon sheets of things they've done, and they probably don't like it either. You're taking your own path, and you have a lot of room to grow. So go for it. Tip number 3: accept the flaws. I think it goes without saying that when we want something to look the way we want it, we try and make it the best we can make it look. Perfection is unattainable. As someone who's often gotten mad at himself for not being good at something the first time around many times, I have accepted that I'm going to be bad at a lot of other things. That's not to say that you don't try, learn, or can't learn, because you will with time. You just won't always be good at it, much less be perfect on the first time or even the 100th time. There will be many times where you draw something, finish it, and look at it only to find something you didn't like. And that's okay. There will be times where you find yourself unable to draw a specific part of your drawing and it always looks weird to you. And that's okay too. You do your best, and that's all anyone can ask of you. You're not going to like everything you do, but you can still learn from them. You yourself will know your problem areas, and that will cue you into what you want to focus on. Besides, perfection is boring. Why pursue feeling like you have nothing left to learn when you can keep going up? Tip number 4: don't be stubborn. Use all the resources at your disposal. I've been very guilty of not following through on this one in the past. I've mentioned that I felt like if I don't come up with everything myself, draw it myself, imagine it myself, what have you, that I considered myself a bad artist. Sometimes I've had access to many tutorials and I just say, no, no, I refuse. I know this already. Waste of time. But really, what I was doing was not opening up to the idea that I can still learn and relearn something that I might have already, or in my case, learn how to do a different and better way. I can even go as far as saying that a lot of those times it would reinvigorate what I wanted to do. Especially now, we have access to so much to use. If you don't know how to position your character, use Google image search, find new poses you can try out. If you have a difficult time dressing up your character, try out an outfit generator to help you out. I like using You Look Fab for modern looks. If anatomy is the bane of your existence, try looking up tutorial videos on YouTube or videos that mimic an anatomy class environment. New Masters Academy has a really nice playlist for this exact thing, and I will leave that in the description. If you don't know what to draw, use something like art prompts to give you an idea. This drawing, in fact, was made from an art prompt. On a side note, if you want to take a modern approach to receiving an art prompt, try ChatGPT and ask the AI for some prompts with a description. If you're out and about, take pictures of anything that inspires you. Do you think the sky looks pretty? Do you think someone's outfit would look good on a character? Maybe the cafe you pass by would make a nice background. Anything that catches your eye, take a quick snap and save it for later. Another thing you can do is watch videos of other artists making their art and seeing what they do in their process. Don't be like me and think you're wasting your time by watching a video on something you probably already know. You can always learn something. Tip number 5: take breaks. It sounds counterintuitive, but breaks are very important. In everything you start doing or do regularly, whether it's drawing, painting, going to the gym, or running, taking breaks is important after long sessions. Put the pen down, refresh your mind, take a shower, enjoy a show, go out, have some food, and then when you're good, you can return, get comfortable, and get back at it. You'll be able to look at what you're working on with a fresh pair of eyes, and maybe you'll even have more ideas. Tip number 6, go easy on yourself. I know I'm repeating this tip, but I really can't emphasize this enough. The more you have fun with it, the easier it'll start to flow. And truly, just have fun with it. Week 15, Twilight Angel. This character is part of the same world Taroko and the Red Sorceress reside in. She doesn't have a name, but she's an angel. In this world, divine beings are openly visible and available and sometimes walk among the rest of the world. While demons also exist in the same world, angels are known to make people feel uneasy as they feel they always need to be on their best behavior or suffer some kind of consequences. In truth, angels are mostly around on missions to subdue any runaway angels or demons. On the flip side, when they do interact with humans, they have been known to be easily influenced and are sometimes quite gullible. As for the drawing, this is practice for me. I've always admired people who paint on canvas in real life and just the same, who use the same approach to painting a picture digitally. Paint goes on canvas and it gets shaped with the color choices put together. I love it because it does put color theory to the test. It's a style I've always wanted to get better at and still relatively new to me. One artist I've really admired over the years has been Ilya Kushinov. I really like the focus on the face in a lot of their work, as well as the use of vibrant colors and harsh lighting. The ones I've really liked have been the ones using a glow behind a character and lets the remaining color show the character. I once tried following a tutorial by them. Half of it was me thinking, oh, that looks easy, and the other half was frustration. I ended up getting so upset at myself for not getting it, and it put me off trying to style for a very long time. It also took me a long time to realize that as you get better, you develop your own workflow and your tools become easier to access because you've taken time to keep what you use closer to you. A lot of my drawings have fallen into the category of drawing lines and filling in lines with color, but I wish to branch out further into a style close to theirs and also shows mine. Overall, I was good with the results of this drawing and will do more in the future. Week 16, The Appearance of Death. From angels, we go to death. This is Death, the Grim Reaper. Death in this world is the true neutral and is also a visible being to everyone living in it. The rules of death are not as simple, though. When someone goes into near death, one of Death's specters appears. Specters are essentially Death's helpers. They have the appearance of having normal looking clothing, such as business suits and uniforms. Their faces are fully ethereal and are covered by a mask. When a specter comes, you can accept death and allow them to take your soul. However, specters can also be fought but are known to be very difficult to overcome in combat. Someone else can also fight a specter for the one in near death. If they fail, they both die. Should you defeat one of Death's specters, you receive a black or red mark. Black marks are for those saved from death, and red marks are for those who fought the specter for another. The black mark signifies that you are allowed to live until your next run in with death. The red mark signifies that you saved somebody. You are allowed to have two marks of either kind. Third offense will summon death. Death can also be fought, but no one has ever been known to defeat death. I mentioned death is visible to everyone in this world, but seeing death with your own eyes means someone did something very wrong. These are the basic rules I came up with. As for the drawing, I enjoy drawing a character I've been wanting to rework for a bit for a long time. She's still not too different, but Death is one of those characters that can change their appearance quite easily. It's a lot of fun to come up with these gothic-esque clothing or just to try something new. I kept the clothing style simple enough to make shading easier. Funny enough, the lines took longer to do than the coloring, which to me is always feels like an eternity because I'm always itching to start coloring before the line work is anywhere near finished. Overall, I liked it. Week 17, Once Sisters. This is Terako and her sister Emiko. I've talked a bit about Terako in week 5. Emiko is the sister Terako believes the Red Sorceress seduced, brainwashed, and caused Emi to leave her side. In truth, Emmy had her own reasons to leave and chose her own path early on after her outing as a Valkyrie class. Valkyries in this world are incredibly rare and are seen as the bringers of destruction to those around them. They're strong, feared women with very above average abilities. Their appearance is mostly normal with the exception of small angel like wings sprouting from their heads. Valkyries are a mix of human, angel, and something else that isn't quite known. Most Valkyries are not aware that they're Valkyries, and the sprouting of wings can happen at any age. Because of their nature and their reputation, most Valkyries are blamed for atrocities of the world, are hunted down and killed mercilessly. For this reason, they typically live their lives as outcasts, never to be seen again. I've had a fascination with Valkyrie lore since I could remember. They've always called my attention for who they were, the helmets, the armors, and their reputations. I mentioned before that I like strong women as characters. Three of my favorite game characters include, and most recently, Sasha from Lost Ark, Aranea from Final Fantasy 15, and Lady Maria Astral Clock Tower from Bloodborne. They all exude that aura that has a very commanding presence. I believe a lot of what Valkyries are exactly that. As for the drawing, I wanted to keep it simple. To be honest, I drew this as a t-shirt idea. I guess one of the quirks of being able to draw is being able to make your own t-shirts as well. I also kept things a bit simple to cut down on time. Week 18 preview is Clash at House K. I showed this in my last drawing journal as well, and I aim to get it done this week. Like March, April was a very busy month. Weeks overlapped with the next, and I didn't really catch up until I got to week 17. I feel like I'm now in a better position to continue this project. I hope you've enjoyed this month of April. While I understand a lot of these tips I laid out won't come easy to everyone, always take things at your own pace. One step at a time is still a step, and still a step of progress. Let me know if anything has helped, and like always, thanks for watching.